I want to tell you about a student I heard about today, a middle school student in eighth grade. The middle school uses Chromebooks. So the school issues it to all the students. They use a Chromebook, check their assignments. It's the platform they use as a LMS where all the assignments they log in and they can see what's been assigned. They have resources to the videos and your reading selections and things, and then you do the work and you submit it. And then this is true across all the day. Well, the student has ADHD and has a 504 plan, but part of the accommodations in the plan are just to check in with the student to be sure that they're on task with the technology. And there's a demonstrated track record of them not being on task, of them being not only not on task, but just kind of exploring other things that eighth graders often know how to find games and whatnot sites they can access through the school. And this is happening all classes all through the day. And then the schoolwork and then kind of the managing of the behavior is pushed into the afternoon and evening. And then the family is working on that. It's really impacting family dynamics, right? So the evening time when the student has done a whole day, supposed to be home, able to tend to other parts of his life, the time when the capacity to regulate is lowest is a time when he's then kind of reliving his second school day. And the family's trying to solve this. I mean, the teachers are communicating, everybody's kind of positive relationship, but nobody is actually solving this. And a 504 plan is to guarantee access to the class and the education. So if the school has chosen a modality, in this case, they've chosen Chromebooks. They've chosen a way for the school to have their information, but it is adding one more barrier. It's pretty significant for this young person, potentially others, but we'll talk about this one. And my conversation is about how that family can have a conversation with the school to be partnering, but to come at this a different way. Please play this out with me. If they do nothing other than keep reminding this 13-year-old to not go on the internet for all sorts of various interests of his, when given a laptop to spend 8 hours a day with, and all they're going to do is verbally reprimand him, they're not teaching him a new skill. They're not teaching him a new way to navigate these very competing interests and demands. He's supposed to be working on learning different strategies to support his focus. And it's giving him a modality that is directly counter to that. He doesn't have the capability right now to do that. And the computer challenges that. And this is pretty common, right? And this is part of what we get to scratch the surface on and uncover with a 504 plan or thinking about schools and how to make schools work for children and teens with ADHD is that you got to look at what's happening and where's the gap between what the student knows how to do and is able to consistently show so that they can fully access their day and what we're doing. So in this case, there's a huge gap between this sort of task switching, right? So imagine you're going in and imagine you were going into work and every hour of the day, there was a slightly different shift in your work, or maybe a majorly different shift. And you are on a device, and the thing that is most compelling to you, whether it's shopping or reality TV or there's something, or pictures of your kids or whatever it is, keeps kind of coming up and drawing your attention away. And the work is changing. So you're trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be, what's the work I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, and by the way, this really urgent thing, it's the day before your significant other's birthday, and all of a sudden all these great ideas, are calling on you. Well, you're an adult and you have some strategies so you can make the choice to block those sites or not go there. You have practiced some self-regulation. But a 13-year-old hasn't. And a 13-year-old with ADHD who is learning how to navigate life with that and learning what strategies work for him doesn't. So, as a school, our job is to come together and say, okay, here's what's happening. Our data is this student isn't accessing because we have a technology-based curriculum. So we have the option to give him some paper and pencil. But kind of that's the other pendulum swing. he's still not learning how to navigate technology. And he's going to need to do that not only through school, but the rest of his life. That's one of the ways we want him to be able to take in information and use responsibly as it goes through his schooling. So we think about, what does he have to do when he logs on? Like, what are all the different discrete parts of it? There's the checking the assignment, there's accessing the videos, there's accessing the reading, there's generating the responses. Sometimes there's a Q&A between him and other students. There's submitting, there's seeing if there's anything missing, there's messages from the teacher, messaging the teacher, and sometimes some other things. So I've just named about 8 different pretty significant switches of your attention. If you imagine, I log in and the first thing I have to do is go to my English course. And the second thing I have to do is go to the section that has the assignment. The next thing I have to do is download 2 things and follow a link to a discussion, follow a link to a video. And right? So I've already named so many steps. And if I already have a hard time focusing and channeling my attention, and then I'm doing it on this device that is pulling my attention elsewhere, then we haven't created a path. So I think the school team maps that out, map it out with the parent, map it out with the student, but definitely maps it out. And then thinks about, well, what's the most discrete of all of those tasks? Like, what's the thing that you go in and out of, right? And maybe it's the submitting the assignment. Maybe it's a video because you have to watch the video. You look at that and then you start a plan and say, all right, we're going to write this out of all these steps. These steps the student's going to get paper-based at first. And then he's going to log on and watch the video because the teacher can watch when he starts that, check with him to log out and stop. He's going to do the other parts of the assignment. And then when he has a final product ready to submit, the teacher's going to be a part of that. And you think through the flow, like, how is that going to be? Teacher obviously has 30 some other kids in the class. So you have to think through those things, like what is actually realistic and what can we sustain? But then you do it and you gather some data and you see how well it's working. Is this working to limit the technology use? And we're practicing it slowly. He has a little bit more independence with those 2 tasks. Then slowly you add a third one in, but you don't add it in so quickly or back off that you don't have data that he is able to regulate it. You also start thinking about how to reinforce when he's doing it. Because both ends of the pendulum are impossible. There's no way you're going to be able to close down all of the loopholes that students are able to get to, especially someone who has keen curiosity and ability to do that. It's not possible, and the school district's not going to be able to operate in that way and still have the technology available to the students they need for learning. And the other end of the spectrum is you're not going to be able to give him only paper and pencil-based tests. You have to have something in between. So Matt saying what is going on for him, what's the skill he needs to learn and the habit to practice and the strategies we need to identify to help him hone in and strengthen his executive functioning, his ability to focus and stay there, that's the way you do it, right? And you treat it as data, you treat it as a curiosity that the educators get to bring their expertise to think about what's happening cognitively, right, when this is going on, and the parent gets to weigh in and the student gets to weigh in, and then you gather some data. When it works, you do more of it. When it doesn't work, you dig in and get curious and adjust. But this is one way. If you are, if you're a parent and you're seeing something like this, where you're spending 4 to 5 hours at home trying to unravel something, that's really the purpose of a 504 plan, is to say, well, they still don't have access to their learning. It's still having a substantial impact because even though we have this 504 plan, my child's spending the day at school doing one thing and coming home with this kind of heavy workload and emotional release of all the things. So it's impacting their learning. We still have to make adjustments. 504 plans are complex, but when we treat them with some curiosity and a chance to get some data and really bring what we know to it, we can put some powerful things in place for students.